G'day. Over in this, what some would consider a peculiar little corner of YouTube, if we see an event take place or a reported event take place, such as a large scale one that attracts a whole lot of news from a whole lot of news sources from around the world. If we see an event like that, well, what's the new terminology for it? A well-documented violent event. If we see one of those that are reported and we look into it a bit and we discover signs or evidence of stagecraft, such things as performance artists, dialogue artists, particularly dialogue artists who ad-lib scripts around talking points, and that often their ad-libbing often contradicts the ad-libbing of other dialogue actors, and also oftentimes contradicts itself, and also footage and official stories that later accompany it. When we see things like that presented to us, we generally stop there and say, well, there you go, that's one of those phony fake show dead giveaways, and then we'd be done with it. Some would continue to gather those little signs or evidences of stagecraft and present them in the hope that others would see it and then think, oh yeah, look at that, and start to look at some other stuff that they're presented and come to similar conclusions to us, like turn the TV off and pay it no more mind. But and in some cases, some of us just take the piss of it and or just leave it be, walk away, shake your head and walk away is probably actually the best response to it. But anyway, when we see things like that, we consider, well, if they have to fake or stage or produce elements of said events, then it's pretty fair that we can write it off, like I said, as a phony fake show and be done with it. Because if you've got to fake it, then it must be fake. Pretty logical conclusion we come to, really, isn't it? Don't you think? I do. So anyway, I'm going to read you a news article. I'll remind you of one. It came out a little while ago, but let's relive it because it was a good story. So this article's from popularmechanics.com, August 31, 2018. An astronaut plugged the leak in the space station with his finger. The ISS astronauts later used tape and gauze to seal the hole more permanently. Wow. Maybe you remember this story. One of the dangers of floating in a space station is that you really have to worry about leaks. After all, there's only a thin metal shell standing between you and the vacuum of space, and even a small hole can quickly prove disastrous. That's the reality the astronauts aboard the International Space Station awoke to yesterday when it was discovered that a small leak in the station was causing the air pressure inside to drop. Fortunately, the hole was small enough that it wasn't life-threatening, and one of the astronauts simply plugged the hole with his finger while waiting for a more permanent fix. Initially, ground crews monitoring the ISS noticed the leak because of a small drop in air pressure aboard the station while the astronauts were sleeping. With a larger leak, the astronauts would have been woken right away. But this particular leak was small enough that NASA decided it could wait until the morning. At first, astronaut Alexander Gerst simply plugged the hole with his finger to stop the leak. But of course, that's not as efficient as a long-term solution. Instead, astronauts used epoxy and Kapton tape, a form of high-strength tape commonly used in spacecraft, to seal the breach. As of this writing, the air pressure inside the station is stable, which means the seal is working. Still, it's likely that both NASA and the astronauts aboard the ISS would prefer an even more permanent solution than this, but it's not clear at the moment what that solution would be. the astronauts may just have to survive with their tape and gauze patch until the space agency comes up with something better. And lucky for us, astronaut, or should I say actonaut, or actually what would be better would be to call him a mega actor. And I don't mean that he's a really, really talented actor and should do movies and stuff like that. I mean mega actor is in the role he has taken on is a lifetime role. It's all the time. He probably even has to fib to his family that the role is such a big role. But luckily for us, he tweeted a picture from NASA of the hole in the ISS that astronaut stuck his finger in until they could stuff it with gauze and patch it with tape to stop the vacuum of space tearing apart their spacecraft. Spacecraft. Anyway, there was one major problem with this picture from NASA. You may remember, and if you don't, you better hold on to your cotton socks, because it's a doozy. The main problem with that image is that it was not a photo of the hole in the ISS. It was, in fact, an album cover from a Christian rock band called Remedy Pride. The album was called Commodity. They've simply taken that image, stamped NASA and a few bullshit numbers on the bottom, and good old mega actor-naut Chris Hadfield was the messenger to deliver the bullshit, as is his job for the rest of his life. And yeah, as you can see, they're faking space. And it's not just this little evidence, there's plenty of evidences from bubbles in space and CGI, on the ISS, and strings on the ISS, and virtual reality meltdowns on the ISS. Space is fake because they fake it. Use our general logic. They fake everything from space. What does that tell you? Space is fake. It's fake because it cannot be. It's fake. Hey, Terrible Tim, what do you reckon about this whole space thing and the stories they tell us?
I would normally say, please try to spread the word around, but they're doing it for you. They're showing you that it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's a fake show. It's a phony fake show. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Fake.
I just love that clip. Thanks, Terrible Tim. Oh, I love it. And that reminds me. I learned a new word recently, so let's play a little game of Word of the Day. Yeah, let's play a little game of Word of the Day. So let's play. Today's word is paracosm. A paracosm is a detailed imaginary world. Paracosms are thought to generally originate in childhood and to have one or numerous creators. The creator of a paracosm has a complex and deeply felt relationship with this subjective universe, which may incorporate real-world or imaginary characters and conventions. Or a prolonged fantasy world invented by children can have a definite geography and language and history. It's a type of a fairyland, a fantasy world, something existing solely in the imagination, but often mistaken for reality. I consider space to be a paracosm. It's an imaginary world. It's been created by numerous creators. However, it hasn't been created by children, as that second definition suggested, but I would suggest that it has been implanted in children, and then it is prolonged and then implanted in the next generation of children, and then prolonged and expanded upon and added to by multiple creators. Space is a paracosm, an imaginary world, a fantasy world, often mistaken as reality. So there you go, you can teach an old dog new tricks. I learned a new word. Word of the day. And on that note, I'll say cheerio, and thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Today's word is paracosm. Space is a paracosm.
Like a donkey will like never question why the carrot dangling in front of it's never getting closer, like we'll just fucking keep on walking. You know? And you try and tell that donkey, you're like, hey man, do you realise like there's like a rod and like a string there? It's like, mate, I don't have fucking time for conspiracy theory shit.
Yeah, thanks, lady. Anaconda malt liquor gives you. You need to shut the fuck up when grown folks is talking. Anaconda malt liquor gives you. Anaconda malt liquor gives you. Now you getting it. Anaconda malt liquor gives you. Gives you what? Anaconda malt liquor gives you. Exactly.
So thanks for joining me here at Chicken and Waffles, and all these videos and more can be found on my channel at 153news.net, where they are safely archived for now. Thank you, and see you later.